Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is also Mubarakshana. I'm manager of the Center for Project-Based Learning at Graduate School of Business of High School of Economics, and it is my great pleasure to meet you all together here with us. And today is the second day of the fourth International Conference, Digitalization of Society, Economy, Management and Education 2021, organized together with Higher School of Economics and Russian chapter of Association for Information Systems. And today here with us, Professor Petr Panfilov, who is Vice President of Rus AIS, and our dear guest, Professor Alena Fedorova, founding president of Russian chapter of Association for Information System. Today we are going to have several reports which will be presented by Petr Panfilov at the correct time. But at first I would like to give the word to Petr to introduce our first guest speaker. So Petr, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. So welcome everybody to our English session of the conference. And I think it will be better if Alena will present our first speaker for this session, because she knows Mauro for many years, and they are colleagues. They cooperate in joint activities for many years. So it will be better that Alena will present our first speaker for today's session.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me present and introduce our great friend and cooperator, our big and lovely Professor Mauro Gatti from Sapienza University of Rome. Mauro is the first and main speaker, our guest speaker. Please, Mauro, please start.
Okay. But first, I will announce a topic of Mauro talk, and this is about new frontiers in the relationship, digital technologies and organization. So Mauro, floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here, and thank you to all friends, Russian friends, especially Professor Alena Fedorova and Olga, and I'm very happy to see you. And in this very difficult situation we are facing with the COVID-19, but I hope to be back soon in Russia. Maybe next year. I don't know when this situation would be, better and better, we hope. So I am a full professor of organization science at Sapienza University. So my presentation is focused on the relationship between the digital technologies, and so the evolution of the digital technologies and the organization. And so this is an issue that I am very interested in, and I'm working with some relevant companies here in Italy to support their digitization processes, and especially by analyzing the impact of digital technologies on the organization of work, The digital workplaces, the digital workforce, the digital organization. So my presentation will be focused on this. So I will try to share my PowerPoint presentation. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, I titled my presentation the digital transformation towards a data-driven company. And I will share with you here some evidence from Enel company that maybe you know is one of the most important company in Italy, as well as in worldwide in the energy industry. But this is my agenda, so I will be talking a little bit about the evolution of the environment, the relationship between the environment and organization, in which the digitization processes are taking place. Then I will be focused on becoming a data-driven company, and then some concluding remarks. First of all, as an organizational studies researcher, here in this slide, we have an evidence of the different levels of the organizational studies and theories as well. So we need to master all of these dimensions, all of these levels, starting from the very basic individual, so at the micro level. Then we have group, we have the whole firm, and we also have the network. At micro and meso levels, we have organizational behavior theories and practices as well. At the upper level, we have organizational design, and the link between organizational design and organizational behavior is constituted by work design, which is an intermediate. So, for example, by starting from the whole strategic profile of a company, we need to translate the mission, vision, organizational goals in practical activities. And so in processes, this is process design or business process management. Then we have organizational change as an important field which is transversal to organizational design, behavior, and work design. So this is a main picture of the complexity that we typically face as organizational researchers when studying a strong, let's say, revolutionary trend like the digitization. We need to focus on how companies as organizations, they do change over time. But in the same time, we need to understand the impact of such phenomena at very different levels of analysis. And so as an organizational researcher, I need to master, and I think we need to master all of these levels, which is very, very complex. The main engine of change for organizations is the external environment. We know so changes can occur at the external environment as well as within the internal environment. But the main engine of change is the external environment. Here we have some drivers. Markets, they do change over time. And so demands for customers tastes in customers' demands, technologies as well. Then we have institutions and regulations, but also we have culture. And recently, we are strongly facing such natural events, such as climate change, for example. We have financial shocks that are going on at very, very small periods of time. And we have such health and natural events, health like the pandemic. So those are the main changes that push companies to dramatically change, continuously change over time. We can trace maybe mostly in for the Western societies 4 different stages in the evolution of the external environment. We faced the mass market development at the beginning of the 20th century or at the end of the 19th century. So the mass market and mass production, meaning we dealt with theories such as Taylorism and Fordism arrangements, organizational arrangements. And the external environment was quite simple to understand because it was a stable environment with a very growing capacity. So this made it possible for large corporations acting on standardizing products and behaviors. Then we have early customization and lean production that developed especially after the Second World War. Then we faced the globalization and the hyper-competition environment. So we have the shift from a very simple to a complicated environment to a very complex environment. But now we live in the digitization era and the era of endemic instability. So disruptive events such as financial shocks, the pandemic, natural events such as climate changes are producing and are generating a very chaotic external environment. So one very unstable and one that requires for companies to dramatically change in a very short period of time. And this is the era of digitization. So one must for companies is becoming a data-driven company. And this is a kind of transformation that companies are pursuing, that are facing all over the world. We know that big data deals with a large quantity of data that are associated to all the digital traces we leave every time we use a digital device. And this is has been supported by machine-to-machine interactions, machine learning, and deep learning techniques that we know very well. So big data is not just about data. Obviously, we need very complex algorithms to make it possible to extract from data useful patterns and transform all this raw material into a predictive or prescriptive models that support decision making. So as we know, in many industries, in many sectors, big data has the real potential to transform traditional businesses. We know in retail, Amazon, for example, in transportation, we have such examples like Uber, etc., etc. We have a lot of examples. But what the big data phenomenon is producing with the aid of algorithms, obviously, is a main shift in the decision-making process. So, as McAfee and Brignold put it, because of big data, managers can now measure and hence know radically more about their business. So they directly translate knowledge into improved decision-making and performance. So the big data movement and analytics as well, with the aid of algorithms, are transforming the way organizational knowledge is gathered, is shared, is managed to support real-time decision making. I think this is known by everybody. We also know that big data has different dimensions that are synthesized by different V's. So volume, velocity, variety, value, variability, veracity, and visualization. So they're all dimensions of big data. And here we have a first evidence from the Enel company. Here I put some evidence about how much data Enel gets in 24 hours. So for example, over 40 million data records from renewable plants. And these data are then used to drive to better know the plant's maintenance needs, for example. So to have real-time maintenance operations. 26 billion data records from load measurement coming from smart meters. 1.6 million data records from customers by using multi-channel interactions. Data records from customers from about 2,200 daily electric recharges of electric vehicles. Data records from 27,500 daily interaction with suppliers. About 3,400 daily curricula, CVs sent by potential employees, etc., etc. So this is just one example. We have more and more data, obviously, coming from all the operating systems at Enel. And this represents what we can call the information capital of Enel, which constantly grows over time. And so in the last 10 years, Enel generated a 20 times increasing volume of data with a particular explosion in the last let's say 4 or 5 years. So a very huge amount of data. Just let me know a focus on veracity, because this is one of the main issue in using big data for predictive or prescribing algorithms. By analyzing high quality and reliable data is imperative in enabling management to make cognizant decisions and derive business value. So the focus here is on reliability data. So the quality of data is the main pillar and the main issue when you elaborate on data or when you use data. So this means that big data that are used for business decisions must be authenticated And so they need to pass through strict quality compliance procedures before being analyzed. And then we have for companies the need to have in place a quality system about data and about big data. And this is necessary in order to have certified and legitimized data. So companies, they need to define rules for data access, utilization, management, and protection in order to ensure a proper and secure use of data. Here we have some insight from the value chain, the big data value chain. We know that the system engineering approach of big data management system operates in 4 phases. So there is the data generation, acquisition, then there is the data storage, data analytics, and data management, which is about visualizations, how to represent data, security and protection systems, and even deletion of data when necessary. We also know that there are 3 kinds of analytics. There are the descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. But my focus here is about what is a data-driven company. So a data-driven company is conceptualized as one that has the ability to extract value from data. So for coming from disparate sources and being able to detect and interpret signals, especially weak signals, for example, signals coming from customers or coming from competitors, for example, that in a globalized environment, we can have customers and competitors coming from everywhere. And this is to enhance the competitive advantage. Businesses run on data-driven decisions are those relying on scenarios and simulation, and they provide immediate guidance for best action to be taken. And especially, this is especially true when disruptions occur. An evidence from the Enel case. So becoming a data-driven company represents for Enel Group a must. So a main pillar of its strategic profile. So it is a vision for Enel company to become a data-driven company. So this must become part of the integral organizational culture. So they decided at Enel to create a new unit in 2016.
Zlatičko, helejte Zlatičko.
Which is the Digital Strategy and Governance Department. So it is a unit within the Information System Department, and it is very, very close to the CEO, to the top of the company, with the aim of governing the digital technology dynamics at global scale. So being very close to the managerial apex, so the presence of these areas, this area of responsibility just testify the strong commitment from the board of directors, which is quite important in developing data-driven organizational culture transformation, because this widespread through the company a very strong signal for legitimizing policies and programs that are developed by this new department. So it is very, very important here to have a very strong commitment from the very top of the company. So evidence for the strategic approach to big data and analytics was clear by top managers debate during one of the last annual top management convention, to which I had the opportunity to participate at distance on January 2020. In this conference, in this meeting, the head of this new unit depicted the architecture, the structure, let's say, of a huge strategic program that was launched at the very beginning, at the beginning of 2019. So just explain to the whole managerial, members, what does it mean for Enel to become a data-driven company? So a very, very huge communication process to let the whole organization clearly understanding what Enel wants to become by transforming itself in a data-driven company. But this entails a real organization, a real transformation. So what does transformation, organizational transformation mean? Means to have a visible change in the mindset, attitudes, and behaviors of the majority of individuals belonging to the organization. This is a statement, this is a definition of organizational transformation coming from Blumenthal and Asperslag in 1994. And I'm really, let's say, aligned with this definition. So when this transformation successfully occurs, then this testifies the transition toward the establishing of a new organizational culture, meaning that for becoming a data-driven company, you need to have this transformation in place, meaning that you need to understand, you need to make visible a change in mindset, attitudes, and behaviors of the majority of individuals by using data, by being data-driven in the decision making. So a data-driven company is an organization that builds on a new decision-making approach, precisely one that mostly relies on advanced analytics as prevailing over intuition, experience, and imagination. And you can also figure out, what does this entail in changing the decision-making process for managers. But we need to be careful, because this does not imply that algorithms will decide everything in the organization and they will substitute human beings. But the decision maker must accept to be supported and driven by predictive models that are elaborated by data scientists working on big data. This is a very huge radical transformation, because all managers must accept to be being supported by data scientists. So this is a main shift, especially in the establishment of power within the organization. So it seems that power is now in the hands of data scientists here. For Enel, a company is a data-driven company when the indications offered by data are considered predominant in taking decisions compared to other types of suggestion. It may seem that such a company is one driven by technology, but the opposite is true. We construct the algorithms, if not people who know the business. So this is an attempt to not, let's say, damage to not replace the human beings as the main decision makers. And here we have an example of a data-driven architecture. So they start even at Enel from business challenges. So different needs, let's say business needs that require data collecting. Then you need to match together organization, people, process, and technology to extract business insights from data that enable finding a solution for the business challenges. And we just said before that this needs a very quality system, data quality system to be in place. But this architecture must be contained, must be included in a wider data governance system. In Enel case, so the Enel's digital strategy and governance department, they built an overall framework, which is composed by the following three pillars: data governance, so establishing a set of general rules, procedures, and structural articulation. Organizing different data competence centers spread all over the organization. We have a data infrastructure, meaning a digital platform, allowing to valorize the information gathered from data. And then we have data know-how, competences, both at central and local level. This is the new oil or gold, as they named at Enel, extracting useful insights from data. So there are three levels, and governance, infrastructure, and know-how are the three pillars of the data-driven architecture here. And this is the structure, okay? But the most important things is that in order to make this structure properly operating toward becoming a data-driven organization, what is needed is a new organizational culture. This is the engine that allows the structure to properly transform in a data-driven system. So data must become an integral part of people's daily working life. This is the main challenge that Enel is now facing. So transforming the organizational culture into a data-driven culture. Obviously, what is important is that all this architecture requires new kinds of skills, competencies, and jobs as well. And so Enel company is a company that is mostly relying, and it's mostly requiring hiring very young people from information system departments and universities. Data specialists, they are architects, engineers, scientists, are the most relevant the most important new jobs and new careers that are being developed, that are being developed at Enel company. So let's get back to the data-driven organizational culture. Organizational culture can accelerate the application of analytics. That's why it is so important. So amplify its power and steer companies away from risky outcomes by bringing together data talent, tools, and decision-making. And we just said that a company shows a data-driven culture when the indication offered by data is considered as predominant in taking decisions by the majority of managers and decision makers within the company. But this is very challenging. There are so many resistances to change, and especially to the establishment of a data-driven culture. I summarized the main resistances to change. We have powerful managers that are, let's say, scared about losing power because, you know, they possess critical or relevant information. And to possess information is like to possess power. So by adopting a data-driven culture, they need to release information and to accept, to share all the information they possess with other managers and with everybody within the company. So pilots' experiences of establishing a data-driven culture, they just challenge the skills and the jobs of middle managers. So opening up doors for other employees, such as stepping up in their career or getting involved in designing the next generation of decision support. So this represents another resistance chain, which is very linked to the first one. Mostly important, top-level managers have not been involved in the process, and they are not typically involved in the process of algorithm generation. So perceiving they are losing power in favor of those data specialists who possess the knowledge about algorithms. So if I am a manager and if I were a manager and not being involved in generating the algorithm, participating in the process of algorithm generation, I won't be willing to accept and to use the algorithm. So this is a cause for algorithm aversion, which is a very strong resistance to power. Then the inability to deliver the right messages to middle managers. This is a communication issue and employees for establishing the proper climate about how to deal with big data and algorithms. And data-driven culture is not supported by adequate human resource management policies and practices. So this calls into account the role of a human resource management department in establishing this culture. I would like to just to go to the conclusion. So being data-driven entails the same logic as Google Maps and the GPS device. So the company navigation seems to be in the hand of digital tools, algorithms, and even data specialists. And this is a shift in the power system within organization. And so the underlying assumptions of data-driven practice seems to be a renewal of tailored scientific management. So it seems to be run back to the scientific management, which took place at the very beginning of the 20th century by Frederick Taylor. So are we going towards a new scientific management? So some author claims that this is much due to the fascination of top managers for digital technologies and for successful digital platform enterprises. So especially those managers that have a background in applied sciences. So this, is pushing us to make a reflection about the digital platform enterprise, so the so-called platform organization. And the association is quite easy. If a company can profile and predict customers' behavior, by using a data-driven approach and big data, why not applying the same techniques for profiling employees and to address all aspects of business life and activity? So this pushes us to reflect to the dark side of the digitization. As we know, and especially with the pandemic, with the working at distance or working at home right now, many companies are shifting the workplace towards digital workplace that could and are enabled to control, to strictly control every kind of employees' activity. So I would conclude here with just a reflection also on the dark sides of digitization. So thank you very much for your attention. I'll be available for every kind of questions you have about my presentation. Thank you very much.